Welcome everybody, today I'm covering the Build 42.11 update that just dropped. Don't forget to back up your saves, and let's get into the new stuff. They added new craft logic UI, they made several CPU and memory usage optimizations, they added add padding and patch hole, garment UI context menu display icons for the fabric item. Clicking on the top half of a 2-container object sprite will select the second container in the loot window. Now I'm a big fan of that one. You don't need to go up to the top right anymore. You can simply browse. If there's nothing you like, just move on. Added 2 extra levels for zooming in on the minimap, and they added an in-game map option called Player Zoom to control whether the player model is displayed at zoom level 20 or greater. They finally added the subscribe to Awpenheimer button. They also added the ability to bind a hotkey for toggling the building UI. This is currently unassigned, so you'll have to assign your own key to it. I'll probably set mine to B and choose a different one for crafting. They also added the ability to use Shift, Control or Alt modifier to key bindings. There are currently no new key bindings using this, but you can set up your own. Also, only one modifier key can be used at a time. Added a new type of style layer, text, to the in-game map. Text layers are used to define the font and color of the baked-in map annotations, instead of specifying font and color for every annotation separately. When a text annotation's alpha value is set to 0, the text layer's color is used. I really like this new addition of having the big names of these locations. It'll be especially useful for newer players for sure. And knowing the names of all these different forests is also very helpful in explaining where certain things are. They also updated streets.xml with Louisville streets, which means unlike before, every road now has a name in Louisville, and there is a lot of them. Knee Slap Lane sounds like a pretty funny place. I don't know what's going on down in the southeast, but we've got Beggar Street, Tramp Street, Soup Street, Mule Fear Street, Freddie Stapleton, Carrot Street. Quite a unique neighborhood. They also optimized rendering of image pyramids in the in-game map, which is just making it all smoother. Map annotations may be resized and rotated. You can see we've got a rotate marking here, and you can click and drag. But you can resize and rotate in the edit marking button. Resize there, and rotate there. That's a nice feature. I was previously using a mod to resize them, but I don't need to anymore. Although I will say I don't like that you have to place it first and then edit it. It would be nice if, once you select a symbol, there was some sort of slider here like the mod provides. Not the end of the world, of course. Also, map annotations can be configured to stick to the surface of the map, respecting the isometric and orthographic perspectives. Also, map annotations may be duplicated by holding the Shift key while dragging with the Move Marking tool. Default annotations may be hidden by unchecking the Map Labels map option. Alright, I'm moving on from the maps now, but I did just realise, when you place a symbol, you don't get that menu, but when placing a note, you do. They added automatic orientation detection for the build menu. Animal custom names are now displayed above the animal when animal designation zones are highlighted. Animal designation zones are highlighted when the check zone context menu option is highlighted. Water source items are highlighted when the corresponding context menu option is highlighted, along with the icon being displayed in the menu. Transfer Fluids UI now closes when player moves an item from their inventory or from the world. Updated Molotov recipe so it no longer requires a second fluid container. It is now possible to take bricks or gold bars from pallets. Finally, that's a good change. Makes these go from purely decoration to something actually useful. And it is now possible to open and close lids for the amphora and round rain barrels. So as I'm holding down the combat stance and moving around, you'll see every time I change direction, the animation just jumps and jitters around, which is definitely a problem, so I'm going to be sending this footage off to the devs. And I'm sure they'll sort it out if they didn't already know about it, but it is quite jarring on the eye. Players can now interact with mannequins to manage outfits. You can either swap your entire outfit with the one on the mannequin, or add the mannequin's outfit on top of what you're currently wearing. This is done via buttons in the inventory UI for a mannequin, similar to the buttons for interacting with stoves and microwaves, located in the top of the loot inventory window. The text for switching, storing and wearing outfits is contextual, regarding whether the player and mannequin are wearing any clothing items. If both are wearing clothing, switch outfits. If only the player is wearing clothing, store worn outfit. If only the mannequin is wearing clothing, wear outfit. That is one handsome mannequin. Oh my. Hey, turn off the camera. Next up is a little section for recipe browsing. Inventory items that can be used as inputs for craft recipes that the player can see or knows can be right-clicked to reveal an option to see recipes. This will open the crafting UI with the required item filter set to the item in question. So this is basically the what can I craft mod, which is definitely a good addition. Craft recipes in recipe magazines that the player can see or knows can be viewed in the crafting UI via navigating with right-click on the magazine to see a list of clickable recipes. In the above two instances, favorited recipe names will be rendered in the player-defined good color, which defaults to green. If a craft recipe requires a workstation, the workstation requirement will be plainly stated in the recipe information box. Recipe magazines that contain growing seasons that the player knows will have a right-click option, See Growing Seasons. This will open the Discovered Literature UI to the Growing Seasons tab. This does not scroll to any specific growing seasons, it just provides a contextual shortcut for the player to navigate to or find the growing seasons list. Alright, just a few more new things, then we're on to the next section. Magnesium shavings can be used as tinder, and the magnesium firestarter can be used to ignite tinder. Tools in equipped or worn containers are now considered valid for use in the mechanics window. Context menu options that used to be red now use the player-defined bad color. It's good that they're letting you change the color of the UI and text and whatever, especially for colorblind people, but also just for some nice customization if you want to. Thrown, timer, and remote detonated explosives now increase the character's zombie kill count. Sprinting into doors now causes the player to trip. Now that could be quite deadly, especially if you're locked in a house, you're trying to escape real quick, and you mistime the E to open the door. Although I'll be honest, I never really sprint, I always just run. And with that you don't actually fall over, and it's always fast enough to escape in my opinion. Let me know down below, do you ever use sprint or not? Barbecues, wood stoves, campfires and fireplace tile objects can be interacted with for all their fire tile properties via buttons on the top of their inventory window. So like we saw with the mannequin, up here we have new options, which I do actually really like. Destroy for fuel and light fire. Also shows the time left. This makes sense with the direction they're going, trying to remove as much right click as they can. I think with the barricades, it was a poor choice, but I actually like this one. They added a whole load of new sound effects for all of the following. When zombies use claws to scratch on thump surfaces, for microwave open, close and transfer items, for opening wooden drawers, for megaphone sound effects, for hey, hey whisper, and psst, for mannequin transfer items, for containers, antique oven, fireplace and barbecue, and they also changed the sound effects for interacting with trauma and other duffel bags. Which leads us on to the next section, which is balance. Increased chance to find clay near lakes. Building a butcher hook now requires a large hook. Building a pottery wheel now requires 2 stone wheels, one of each size. Increased torch lighting by 20%. Changed herb drying to take 1 in-game day, and leather drying to take 7 in-game days. Rabbits now drop correct leather. Small animals may be killed without a weapon, while held by the player. This includes chickens, mice, rabbits, rats, and baby turkeys. This makes it easier to kill animals removed from traps. Fine-tuning fall damage values. No longer receiving 1% fall damage while breaking a leg from a hard fall. Fall damage is now more proportional to associated injuries. No longer 100% guaranteed severe fracture if jumping off second-story building. Closer to 50%. Also, no longer 100% guaranteed severe fracture to 2 limbs if jumping off third-story building. Closer to 90%. Fatal falls no longer completely remove all damage if unscratched chance is hit. Now it's still not fatal, but still deals 5% of total calculated damage. Fall damage hurts more when already injured. Broken legs and spine multiply the incurred damage the most. Broken arms cause almost as much. Other injuries, such as deep injuries and minor injuries, also append some damage. They also fixed the missing fall animation for when a character first starts falling, plus changes to zombie fall damage. Falling from the 20th floor now causes 95 to 99% fatalities. Falling from the 10th floor causes 40 to 50% fatalities, and 50% of all survivors become fake dead. Next up is the fixes section, and this time it was exceptionally long. They fixed cancelling barricade timed action if door opened while barricading, fixed multiple depth-related visual issues with tiles and models, fixed hunger value changes for fish and the bulk of trash caught at higher fishing levels, fixed error when a fishing line breaks, fixed various issues with zombie updates skipping frames, fixed in-game map add note appearing outlined before placing. I actually liked how that looked, to be honest. I know it disappeared once you actually placed the note, but I thought it looked cool. Fixed the mini-map displaying the debug terrain image instead of regular map features. I did see a few complaints about that on my last update video. They fixed being unable to walk on floors placed over water tiles. Fixed Glorious Spiffo statue breaking when attempting to move it. Fixed character stomping or attacking down Z too early, playing the stomping animation for a zombie that wasn't yet on the ground. Fixed duplicated animation hit reaction, fixed instances of zombies incorrectly staggering back and falling as if they've been hit again, fixed empty livestock trailers acting like a temporal battery that discharge all their stored time into the first animal unlucky enough to be placed inside, killing the animal due to old age, fixed the vehicle's alarm being triggered after interrupting the action to smash a window, fixed duplication bug when installing propane tanks in barbecues, fixed rag returning a dirty rag when used to light a campfire, fixed workshop item description not working in mods menu, fixed being unable to eat while wearing an open-faced cloth head wrap, fixed being able to make molotovs with empty beer bottles, fixed a crash to desktop after shoving zombies with rifle equipped, fixed errors when disassembling powered on TV, fixed take engine parts not accepting wrenches outside of the player's main inventory, fixed spears freezing zombies on Linux, fixed corpses reanimating if a player reloads a save while dragging, fixed generated tile range sandbox setting not being applied to generators on load, and they fixed odd lighting on some vehicle light bars. Now of course that's just a few of them, there was so many today, but if you are interested, the patch list is in the description. And they did also finish off with a whole section for debug, but I'm getting tired so you can just pause the video right now if you want to read it. Oh, lastly, real quick, this wasn't mentioned in the patch notes, but I saw it in the Slack channel for the beta testers. They added these little stone crossings to some of the rivers, which is a very nice touch because without it, some of these are very, very long and you have to go all the way around, but instead you could simply hop, skip and jump over the rocks. Pretty nice. Anyway, that's it for the update. I did want to say, I know this video came out a little bit late, and the amount of videos have been quite low recently, but in the coming months, once I've finished renovating my shed and sorting out my life, I'll be back and better than ever, trust me. Either way, I hope you have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next one, and peace.